Welcome back to the Angels franchise. I hope you guys are excited for a jam-packed episode. We're going to have the All-Star game, the MLB draft, and the trade deadline all in this episode. We will get through the entire month of July. And then from there, we only have 2 more months left here in Season 1. Before we get to those milestones, I wanted to take a look at the All-Star voting. Zach Plesac, with the season he's having with a 9-2 record, 3.16 ERA, he is way down the list on the starting pitchers for All-Star voting. It's probably due to the fact that he hasn't had that many strikeouts, which, I mean, that's what they look for. You see guys with like 131 strikeouts, Corbin Burns, 103 for Skubal. And then you get down here to Zach Plesac, and he only has 61 total strikeouts. Andrew Wantz, with the dominating season he's having so far, he could be an all-star here. Has that 1.83 ERA, less than a 1 whip. He has 135,000 votes. So look for Andrew Wantz to potentially be our lone all-star. Carlos Estevez is also in 5th place for closing pitchers. Those are the guys that usually get the all-star nod, are your closing pitchers. Relief pitchers really don't get selected for the all-star game here in MLB the Show for whatever reason. Logan O'Hoppe is in 4th place in the catcher position. Yanir Diaz is in 1st. We met him in the last episode, I do believe, and he went off hitting 2 home runs against us. Jonah Heim and Adley Rutschman just ahead of Logan O'Hoppe as well. Somehow, someway, Brandon Drury is in 5th place for second baseman. He has a 221 average and 12 home runs on the season. He is a strong trade candidate. I want to go through and I want to show you guys 4 guys that I have selected to potentially trade. I'll show you guys those after I get through the all-star voting here. Mike Trout probably will not be an all-star this year. 408,000 votes, which is very impressive. 268 average with 14 home runs. But he is currently in 5th place as far as center fielders go. You have Julio Rodriguez, Chas McCormick, Cedric Mullins, and Aaron Judge ahead of Trout. Trout's probably not going to be an all-star this year, which really does suck. And then I was trying to see Mickey Moniak. He's way down the list here, but with a 248 average, 10 home runs, he's having himself a pretty solid season. Probably will not be an all-star though. So the guys that I had selected here to be potential trade candidates, Matt Moore is one of them. He's 34 years old, B potential, 75 overall here. All of his attributes are going down, and he is in his last year here in the Angels uniform. So he'd be a perfect candidate. 15 2/3 innings pitched on the season. Really not seen a whole lot of him this year. 2.3 ERA, 1.4 whip. There are a couple of teams that I feel like would be interested in a guy like Matt Moore. Down here, I have a list that I wrote. The Yankees, Tigers, Mets, Cardinals, Diamondbacks, and Giants are all teams that could be potentially interested in Matt Moore. We'll have to see if we can't work out a deal to send him to one of those teams potentially. Andrew Wantz was another guy I thought about, but he has a lot of team control left. He's 28 years old, and he's having a dominant year. There's no way I would trade him. Carlos Estevez, on the other hand, probably going to be an all-star if I had to guess. He probably will be our lone all-star. Has been dominant. 16 saves, only 1 blown save, 22 innings of work with a 1.23 ERA and a 1 on the dot whip for a positive 0.3 WAR. He's in his last year here for the Angels, so he's a guy that we're going to probably look to trade at the deadline, bring in some prospects. Brandon Drury, I already mentioned it. He is going to be a trade deadline candidate. He's in his last year, making 8.5 this year. 12 home runs so far, 221 average. The slugging is down very bad. So if I were to trade Drury, it would probably be to a team that could use a nice right-handed bat who could expect some power out of him. I don't know if, that's what he's actually going to give a team, seeing as his contact and his power versus lefties are both going down -6. His power against righties is actually going up at the moment. But at 31 years old, he's going to be a free agent next year. I don't think we're going to bring him back. He is a guy that I'm looking to potentially trade. And then, believe it or not, I am going to look to potentially move on from Taylor Ward. He has 2 more years of team control at the end of the season. But with that being said, I haven't been pleased with the way he's been playing. He's actually had 2 pretty solid years behind this year. 2022 was obviously the better year of the 2, but 2023 was going through injuries, only played in 97 games, was playing pretty decent. Right now, he's just not doing well at all. A 222 average, 356 slugging, and a 654 OPS for only 5 home runs. He has a negative WAR. Actually, I'm lying to you. He has a positive .6 WAR. He doesn't really strike out that often. Defensively, he's going to give you a good glove. Taylor Ward is a guy that I could see us moving on from to potentially bring back some prospects. But what team would want to take a 30-year-old who isn't playing very good right now and only has 2 more years of team control? I don't know. That's where we'll have to try and figure that out. But Taylor Ward is a guy that I would like to move. We'll see if we can get a deal done at the deadline. Well, we talked about all-star voting. We talked about trade deadline candidates. We still need to talk about scouting as far as the MLB draft coming up. We're going to get a player luck game with Mike Trout here against the Athletics on July 2nd, which is my birthday in real life. So here we are at the Oakland Coliseum, a stadium that only has 1 more year left for the Athletics. They'll be moving on to Sacramento for a couple of seasons, I do believe. I don't know if they're going to be the Sacramento Athletics, the Oakland Athletics, or are they going to change their name to the Las Vegas Athletics already? I don't know. I really don't care. It's such a sad franchise, one of the saddest franchises in all of sports. To have an ownership that does not care about your team just would really suck to be a fan of, as they highlight Seth Brown here. But we're not here to talk about Athletics players. We're here to talk about Mike Trout, who stands in with a runner on second. 1 away, tied score here in the top half of the first. Mike Trout, we talked about with that 268 average. Would love for him to be an all-star, but it's probably not going to happen just due to the fact that there are guys ahead of him who are just younger and better, at this point in Mike Trout's career. Mike Trout, for sure, a Hall of Famer, but, he's getting older and he's had to deal with a lot of injuries. And because of those injuries, it's limited how much he can be on the field. You know what they say, the best ability is availability. And if you're injured, you're not really helping your team out as you would like. Paul Blackburn on a mound here for the Athletics. 2-2 count here to Trout, and he goes down swinging at the cutter. Here is Trout playing in center, bottom of the third. Zach Plesac on the mound, still pitching extremely well, even though he didn't pitch well in the game that we played with him, as he gave up a lot of runs. He gave up a lot of home runs, something that he hadn't done to that point in the season. But it looks like he's bounced back pretty well here against the Athletics. 2 innings in, no earned. And this is a pretty easy lineup to not suck against, if that makes any sense. I mean, this guy batting right now, Pedro Pineda, I don't even know who this guy is. The Athletics lineup is just not good. As this one's hit back up the middle, Trout might have to come up firing to third. He does, as the runner will advance to third. Trout's arm out there in the field, maybe getting a little weaker as he gets older. As Brent Rooker hit a grand slam and the Athletics lead 4-0 now. As Mike Trout stands in again. He's going to turn on this one, hit it to the shortstop, and ground out for the first out here in the top half of the fourth. Here's Jordan Diaz to the plate here for the Athletics, and here's another ball hit back up the middle. Zach Plesac allowing 4 earned in this game so far. Maybe if he had a dominating performance here against the Athletics, maybe he could be an all-star, but really struggling at the moment as we trail 7-1 now. Nolan Shanuel with the RBI I saw up there in the top left. Can Trout get a base hit here in this game for my birthday? He's going to hit this one down the line, and it is going to drift foul, as it was just a couple of feet away from being a base hit. The 0-1 pitch to Trout. He hits this one to left field, and he's going to fly out for the second out. Mike Trout stands in the top half of the ninth. We trail by 6. Can Trout start a rally here as he swings and misses at the sinker ball? Mike Trout working on an 0-for-3 performance here against the worst team in baseball. You hate to see it. I hit 4 home runs in the previous game. I was actually seeing the ball decently well in that one. I don't think that I'm seeing it poorly in this game. Just got to get used to it, really. 2-1 count, perfect count for a hitter as Trout swings at a obvious ball outside of the zone. Can't be swinging at those. You got to have better pitch selection. 2-2 count now to Trout. Fouls away the sinker right down the middle. That's a pitch that you just have to drive over the wall. The count will remain 2-2. Here's the pitch to Trout, and he fouls off another one. He's seen nothing but sinkers. He saw one circle change. I'm going to look for a sinker again here. And Trout strikes out as he will finish 0 for 4, and the Oakland Athletics dominate 7-1 as Zach Plesac allows 7 earned, and he only pitched 3 1/3 inning. Tyler Anderson came in and dominated though, allowing only 2 hits. So here's Brandon Drury trying to improve his stock as he had 3 hits in the 11-5 win here against the Athletics. Logan O'Hoppe also with a home run as the pitching dominated pretty much like always. As the bases are juiced here in the bottom of the ninth, the Athletics lead by 3. Can Carlos Estevez improve his trade stock as well? If he can get out of this here, I think plenty of teams across Major League Baseball are going to be wanting to bring this guy on, as he's not going to get out of it right now, as he's going to allow 2 runs to score, and the Athletics only trail by 1. Brent Rooker with a 2 RBI base hit. Darrell Hernaiz will pinch run for him, as Miguel Andujar will stand in at the plate for the Athletics, trying to walk it off here in Oakland. Carlos Estevez has been pretty good this season, running into a little bit of issues at the moment, as he is nearing 20 pitches. This one's hit the shallow left. Taylor Ward there to make the play, and the Los Angeles Angels will win the series against the Athletics. Carlos Estevez gets out of the jam to still pick up the save. Patrick Sandoval only allowed 1 earn in this game with 5 strikeouts. Allowed 9 hits though. Doesn't matter. Nolan Schanuel with 2 hits. Mickey Moniak with 2 as well. As we split the first 2 against the Chicago Cubs, we win the first one on Friday 8-7, and we drop the Saturday game 2-3, as we're going to look to try and win the series here on the 7th. The draft is only in 6 days, as this will be the last scouting cycle here as we hit week 14 of 14. I'm going to go through this. I'm going to show you guys some players that I'm interested in and some players who, we may potentially draft. So there's some players that I'm definitely interested in. Sean Skinner is number 1 on our board. We talked about him in the last episode because we only discovered him in the last episode. He is 21 years old. He has a potential range from 84 to 94. His overall at the start will be from 64 to 74. More than likely an MLB ready player now. The question is, we pick at number 8. He is not ranked on the MLB draft board. Therefore, that means other teams are probably not going to know who he is. But there is probably going to be 1 or 2 other teams that do know who he is. And if they have rated him that high on their draft board, they will take him before we do. The question is, do we take him with our 8th pick or the 8th pick in the draft, or do we wait until the 2nd round and try to come away with somebody like Andres Castillo, who is 18 years old with an 80 to 96 potential? I'm actually going to wrap up the scouting on Castillo because he could potentially be a generational guy. I don't know if that's the case or not, but he could be. So the question is, do we get Sean Skinner, or do we wait and hope that he's there in the 2nd round, and that way we can maximize our potential? If we take Sean Skinner in the 1st round, then we're probably not going to come away with as good of a player in the 2nd round. It's all going to depend on who falls and who doesn't fall. There's another guy that is very high on our board, but not ranked on the MLB board, and that is Lawrence Byler, an 18-year-old with 83 to 98 potential. His overall from the start is going to be extremely low, but this is a guy who nobody else is really tracking except for us. So, Lawrence Byler is another option. Do you want to go with a very good hitting first baseman in Christopher Span? He can't play anywhere else other than first base, but he is an MLB ready guy pretty much as soon as he joins the league. His potential and his overall look pretty similar to a guy like Sean Skinner. So Christopher Span, good hitter. He's not going to have much speed. His defense isn't really that well either, but he did opt out of his doctor exam. That's another thing to potentially think about. Then there's even guys like Greg Hobrich. I want to say Harbaugh so bad when I see this. His hits per 9 look pretty good. His walks per 9 look pretty good, and his stamina looks pretty good. Is he a guy that you potentially take with that number 8 pick? John Cabrera, 7th on our board, a left fielder who looks to have pretty good contact, vision. His defense looks good, and his speed looks good. Would you take a guy like John Cabrera over Sean Skinner? I don't really think so. I don't know if I would. Raul Ozuna, another guy who could potentially be in that range. And then you have Leandro Guzman. Lou McDermott is a guy that I was very interested in when I first saw his profile, just due to the fact that he looks like a very well-rounded hitter, could be a potential 5-tool guy if he can work on that speed a little bit. His defense looks good. His contact looks good. His power looks good. We're really just looking to see, can that speed be good? Then there is Guillermo Avalos, who we have 85% scouted, who is not ranked on the MLB board, but 15th on our board. He's a guy that I would be extremely interested in taking. Maybe even his brother, Chris Avalos, who looks like his overall will be low at the start, but it looks like he could be a pretty good prospect when it's all said and done. Nobody else is tracking him. We have plenty of guys on our board. Fernando Guillen, another guy who is not ranked on the MLB board, but is 20th on our board. We could easily go after him and see what he could bring to the table. Jem Rosenberg is another one of those guys. And then Michael Schaefer, another one, 55th on our board, not ranked on the MLB board. You know, he's probably going to be a C potential guy, but if he's there with your last pick and nobody's taking him, Michael Schaefer is an excellent pick. But those are some of your top guys here. Castillo is a guy that I really want to learn a little bit more about through one more week of scouting. If he comes out with like 83 to 99 potential, and he is there for the 8th pick in the draft, I would take him 10 out of 10 times before I took Sean Skinner. I don't know if I'm going to do that, but we'll see. So trying to win the series here against the Cubs, we are not going to be able to, as we dropped that one 2-7, as the Astros are interested in offering us a trade, as we did beat the Texas Rangers in the first game of the series. Let's see. Tyler Whitaker, a third baseman, is who they have offered us. Tyler Whitaker is a C potential 21-year-old third baseman who has pretty decent hitting stats against lefties, not so much against righties. Looks like a pretty good defender. Looks like he has pretty solid speed. You know what? I didn't even think about it at the moment, but the Astros are in our division. We're not working out a trade with a division rival, as we won this game 4-1 here, as Chase Silseth was on the mound, Mickey Moniak with 2 hits, Brandon Drury with 2 hits as well. Like I said, he's trying to improve his trade stock. I don't know if he wants to leave Los Angeles, but the way he's playing right now, it looks like he might want to. Matt Moore allows 1 earn. Carlos Estevez gets his 19th save of the season. As we win the next game 4-1, as well as we're looking for the series sweep here against the Rangers, and it's not going to happen as we drop that one 4-0. Only 3 hits all day for us. Mike Trout, Brandon Drury, and Zach Neto with the hits. Reed Detmers allows 3 earned as he drops to 4-10 on the season, as he has a 3.95 ERA on the season. Tyler Anderson allows no earned as he has a 4.77 ERA. As the draft is in 2 days now, as we trail in the bottom half of the 8th, Logan O'Hoppe at the plate. Should we jump in? Nope, I want to get to the draft first, as the Angels do win that one, as we are going to win the opener here against the Mariners, as it looks like it was a walk-off. I'm not really sure who it was, as Logan O'Hoppe had a home run in this game. 3 hits for him. And then Griffin Canyon, a guy that we haven't really played with yet, has a 3.1 ERA. He didn't get the win in that one, as Matt Moore blew a save, as his ERA is now going up. Maybe Matt Moore isn't a guy that is going to be on the trade block anymore, as the trade is now, the MLB draft is now 1 day away, so we have one more game to simulate, and that is this game here against the Seattle Mariners. This one right here, we're trailing by 3, 1 out. I am going to hop into this game just due to the fact it's the day before the MLB draft. As we are 7th place in runs allowed, only allowing 363 runs, 10th place in home runs allowed, as we've only allowed 105, and 7th in ERA, as we have a 3.56 ERA on the season. Our pitching has been very good. It's our hitting that has struggled at times. When our hitting is on, we tend to win more games. As Mike Trout is to the plate now, in the bottom of the 9th, with 1 away, a grand slam would win the game. Can Mike Trout do it? Here is the pitch to Trout, and he's going to foul this one away. Second baseman trying to get there to make the play, and it is going to be caught. The second out of the inning for the Mariners. It looked like for a second there that one was going to be out of play. That was not the case, as Brandon Drury stands in. He's 2 for 4 on the day. Andres Munoz pitching for the Mariners. He's got some heat, 102 miles per hour that time. Here is the 1-0 to Drury, and he's going to foul this one away. Count moves to 1-1. Here's the pitch to Drury, and he's just out in front of the slider. You got to wait back on that. I'm not going to say just out in front. He's way out in front of the slider. You got to wait back on it. Here is the pitch as Drury will go down swinging to end the game. The Mariners will win it. It's time for the MLB draft. One thing that needs to be talked about is Zach Plesac, after starting out so hot, has really struggled, allows 5 earned in the loss. 5 2/3 innings pitched. He allowed 5 runs, 7 strikeouts, but he allowed 7 hits, and he walked 1 batter as well. Really struggling at the moment is Zach Plesac, as he was dominating for a short while. Now he has a 4.01 ERA and a 1.35 whip. Just really sucks to see. Chase Silseth, on the other hand, is dominating at 23 years old. I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of him. Griffin Canning as well. Griffin Canning a little bit older, obviously, 27 years old, but he has been very good for us this season. Reed Detmers, we're seeing a little bit of progress here, compared to last year, but the whip is higher, the ERA is lower. We're just really looking for Detmers to get better. He's still young. Patrick Sandoval, who is our ace, is pitching pretty well. So there are pretty much 4 guys within our starting rotation that are pretty much going to be here for a long time. Zach Plesac, who was leading us in ERA, has now lost that title, and he is the worst of the starting 5 as far as ERA goes. Jimmy Herget has pitched well since being called up to the majors. Jose Soriano, ERA is going down a little bit, still not getting as many innings. Andrew Wantz, very good. Robert Stevenson, very good. Matt Moore, whip is pretty high, but he's still got a pretty solid ERA. Luis Garcia has still not allowed an earned run all season long, and Carlos Estevez has been pretty good. Looking at a guy like Brandon Drury here, 229 average, 13 home runs. Can we see if that slugging is going up at all? It's still at 387. The OPS still under 700. He has not really turned it around this season. Anthony Rendon batting 259. Luis Rengifo with a 250 average. Aaron Hicks has been playing very well. Is he a guy that we think about trading? I don't know. His attributes are all going down, but I'm liking what we've gotten out of him so far this season. Nolan Shanuel, average going up. And then Zach Neto's average is going up as well. Taylor Ward, average is going up. Chad Wallach, he's better than Matt Thaiss because Matt Thaiss just wasn't getting it done for us. Joe Adell is not getting it done. And Michael Stefanik, still doing a pretty good job. So here's a guy that I'm very excited about, and that's Ben Joyce. He's only pitched 3 1/3 innings at the AAA level so far and only has 1 strikeout. But the overall is going up, and he's got just a really good fastball that can hit triple digits. He will probably be called up to the major league level before the end of the season, but he is probably my favorite prospect at the moment. If not him, you do have a guy like Kyron Paris, who we're seeing the average go up, which is good to see. He'll probably be called up as well at some point this season, and hopefully when he gets called up, he is here to stay and not ever go back down to the minors. But with that being said, today is the All-Star Futures game, and it also is the MLB Draft. Today is the 2024 first-year player draft. Let's go ahead and get to the draft here. I'm going to set up my queue. Once I finish with that, I'll let you guys know, and it will be draft time. All right, I have my draft queue set up. I am ready to start drafting here. I don't really have it in any particular order, but these are all guys that, if they're there, I would select them. It's a pretty extended list. It's not too long. It's filled with a lot of starting pitchers and a couple of position players. I don't know if this is the way that I'm going to go about it in the future, but, I have enough position players that I'm interested in to select. One of them is a guy who maybe nobody else knows about, so that'd be nice. And then a couple of them are guys that, plenty of people know about. One of them, Christopher Span, who looks like one of the best raw hitters here in the draft. Well, we'll let the draft play out as it goes on, but I'm going to get into the draft here. The Cleveland Guardians are set to select with the number 1 overall pick, and they take left fielder John Cabrera, a guy that I was fairly interested in, but he really looks like Sean Skinner, if you ask me. He's 8th on our board, 4th on the MLB draft board, and 8.6 bonus demand. John Cabrera looks like he could be pretty good. Next up is my favorite team, the Cincinnati Reds, and they will select Leandro Guzman, who was 9th on our board, 8th on the MLB board, a starting pitcher. The Reds are going to look to improve in the rotation for the 2nd year in a row. Picking 3rd in the draft is the Colorado Rockies, and they take Daniel Giordano, who was number 1 on the MLB board, 11th on our board, 21 years old, as they look to improve their rotation as well. But now it gets back to this normal draft screen right here. The Athletics will choose here with the 4th pick in the draft. You know, I got to think, if they don't take a guy, which they just took the guy that I like. They took Lou McDermott with the 4th pick in the draft. He was 10th on our board. Maybe that's a good thing. There's a couple other guys that I'm interested in as well. Christopher Span is one of those guys. Fernando Infante with the 5th pick goes to the White Sox. He's 18 years old. You know, do we want to go starting pitcher here? Rob Bronson, a guy that, you know, we didn't do a whole lot of scouting on. Looks like he could be pretty good, as the Cardinals are on the clock here, and they will select James Tupman, a starting pitcher. So now we have a lot of thinking to do. Do we want to go starting pitcher? Andres Castillo is here. He looks like he could be pretty good. He's a lefty. You know, when you look at him, you must think about guys like Guillermo Avalos, who is down here. Chris Avalos. These are guys that we could potentially take later on. Fernando Guillen. Nice walks per 9, not nice hits per 9. I like Fernando Guillen a lot, just looking at his page here. Or you could opt to go for another position player, which, you know, what could be probably one of the better position players is Christopher Span, a 21-year-old who doesn't look like he has a lot of good speed, doesn't look like he has a lot of defense, but it looks like he's going to be a pretty raw hitter. Looks like he could develop the power in the future. The problem is we have a guy named Nolan Shanuel, who is our first baseman at the moment. Nolan Shanuel looks like he could be, you know, very good. Christopher Span also opted out of his doctor exam, which, you know, I really don't like the sound of. Christopher Span looks pretty good. Sean Skinner, on the other hand, is healthy. He's very interested in us. His hitting looks very good. He's fast. He plays very good defense. And he's going to be MLB ready fairly quickly. And there are guys down the board, like Fernando Guillen, that I'm pretty interested in. Are there any other position players that we could potentially draft? See, that's the thing that scares me a little bit, is if we don't take Christopher Span, Sean Skinner could be the only position player that we take the entire draft. Christopher Span could be a DH, but the problem is with that, are you really going to take a DH with the 8th pick in the draft when you got to go like Sean Skinner, who looks like could be a very good fielder in the future, you know, and you're not going to take him right away? I don't want to overthink this. You know, when you see something that you like and you really, really like it, why would you say, I'm going to pass on that and I'm going to see if there's anything better? When in reality, there probably isn't anything better. You may pass up on the thing that you really like to begin with and it get taken from you. I'm not going to allow that to happen. I am drafting Sean Skinner with our selection. He is not ranked on the MLB draft board. He is first on ours. He is a guy who went under the radar, and I really don't know how. Sean Skinner, you are a Los Angeles Angel. I'm excited to see what his ratings are. I think the next selection is probably going to be one of these guys down here. Chris Avalos, Fernando Guillen, Guillermo Avalos. It'll be one of these guys here as Greg Hobrich gets picked by the Pittsburgh Pirates. They look to continue developing their rotation. Paul Skeens last year, Hobrich this year. Andres Castillo goes to the San Francisco Giants, a guy that I considered drafting, 18 years old. You know, I hope I don't regret that. Castillo, not known for his velocity really, but he's got a 5-pitch mix: fastball, slider, changeup, sinker, and a sweeping curve. He's a healthy guy. He's 18 years old. Could be ready to play by the time he's 19, 20. You know, hopefully we don't regret that. Alejandro Rodriguez gets drafted here by the Seattle Mariners. He's another guy who actually fell, but his hitting stats were pretty good. His speed was pretty good. He looked like Sean Skinner, just a worse version of Sean Skinner. It makes you wonder, what is a team like the Tampa Bay Rays see in Angelo Quinones? He's 61st on the MLB board, 66th on ours, 22 years old. You know, what did they see in this guy? His dominant defense? It's the Tampa Bay Rays way. As the Blue Jays are going to take Christopher Span, I really want to see what Christopher Span can bring to the table. So Roger Gooch drafted here by the San Diego Padres. Of course, we like Gooch because of his name, but I wasn't really interested in anything else that Roger Gooch brought to the table. His hitting looks very bad. His defense looks pretty solid, though, as we are now in the prospect promotion incentive rounds. I would love to eventually get to take a selection in these rounds in the future. Maybe we can if a guy like Nolan Schanuel can be the rookie of the year. Probably not going to happen though. As we now enter the competitive balance round A, this will be the Brewers, Diamondbacks, Guardians, Pirates, Rockies, and Royals selecting here. Lawrence Byler, Eric Mott, David Gardner, Guillermo Avalos, Chris Avalos, Fernando Guillen are all guys that headline the ones available at the moment. Lawrence Byler is number 3 on our board, not ranked on the MLB board. I wonder why, because when you look, his stamina looks very good. His strikeouts per 9 and walks per 9 really don't look that good. His pitch control, his velocity and break, I mean, he really doesn't look like the 3rd best player. Eric Mott, he's a closer who could be very good in the future. He's a guy that I'm pretty interested in. 6'2", 192 pounds, 20 years old. I would not take him with our 2nd pick. Guillermo Avalos here, pretty well-rounded, good stamina. It's the hits per 9 and walks per 9 that I'm interested in the most. His look about average as Bobby Turner wraps up the competitive balance rounds. Chris Avalos, pretty good hits per 9. The walks per 9 is low, and it's very low. Pitch control is good. I'm worried about the walks per 9. I really am. Fernando Guillen, though, I'm not so much worried about him because his hits per 9 and walks per 9 look very good. I think Fernando Guillen is going to be the guy that I select here. He's a for sure B potential guy. If not him, who do you go to? I don't know. These guys are all probably going to be here. Fernando Guillen at 5'10", 195 pounds, 22 years old. He is going to be MLB ready fairly quickly, and he's extremely interested in playing for us. 91% interest rate. As long as he doesn't get selected, I think we are good to take Fernando Guillen. We are on the board. We are going to draft Fernando Guillen. He was not ranked on the MLB board, 20th on our board. B potential for sure. His overall to start should be pretty solid as well. He's not going to be striking a whole lot of batters out. His K per 9 is going to be his lowest stat, and he's not going to have much velocity and break. He's going to be a pitch to contact guy. He's not going to give up hard contact, and he's not going to walk very many batters. Fernando Guillen is the selection there. I think now at this point, I am pretty much good to simulate ahead, as we do get a compensatory round pick, but that is going to be in 30 picks or so. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to simulate till our next selection. So nobody was taken that I really wanted. Eric Mott, though, is a guy that I think I do want. Chris Avalos, the hits per 9, he's interesting. His control looks good. The one that I worry about is the walks per 9. I don't know if we'd be able to develop that. Guillermo Avalos here. Another thing here you see with Chris Avalos, you know what? Eric Mott is going to be your most MLB ready guy. He's a bullpen guy, 20 years old. He's going to be a good strikeout guy as well. There's still some stuff we don't know about him, which is why this is a risk. But I think I'm going to draft Eric Mott. He's 2nd on our board. He was not ranked on the MLB board. That's been the story of this draft for us. We're really going to test the discover prospect, part of scouting out. If we have a bunch of terrible prospects here at the end of this draft, then I probably won't be doing discover prospects anymore, just because I won't trust it at that point. But I'm going to go ahead and simulate to our next selection. Guillermo Avalos is here. It looks like the other Avalos, Chris Avalos, was selected just a couple of picks before. So it's really going to be Lawrence Byler or Guillermo Avalos here. We don't have a lot of time to really think about this selection. I think I'm going to go with Lawrence Byler. He's 18 years old. Guillermo Avalos is 18 years old as well. Lawrence Byler is a project selection here. He's going to be a guy who you may not see for 4 or 5 years. He's going to be a project guy, but we're going to take Lawrence Byler in that position. We are going to have 3 more selections to go. I got to imagine Guillermo Avalos, Michael Schaefer. These are going to be guys that we take here. I'm going to go ahead and advance to our next selection. Guillermo Avalos is here. Michael Schaefer is also here. He's 18. Jim Rosenberg here is a guy who has very good velocity. His overall to start is going to be very low, but his velocity looks crazy. He looks like he could throw a 99 mile per hour four seam. He's got a cutter, sinker, slider. What he throws is just ridiculous to me. Guillermo Avalos is the guy that I'm going to take here. You know, don't really know what to expect. We haven't scouted him fully. He actually could be better than the guys that we took before. We'll just have to find out. As here we are in the 5th round, Jim Rosenberg is there. Michael Schaefer is also there. These are 2 guys that I really kind of want to take at this point in the draft. There is Byron Ness as well. These are some relief guys that I saw. We never really scouted them, so I'm not going to really take a chance on them. Jim Rosenberg, another one of those project guys. Don't know if it's going to work out, but we have taken a lot of pitchers here. Michael Schaefer is set to be our very last selection unless we can find anything else here, which is just probably not going to happen. Well, we're going to wrap this draft up with Michael Schaefer, another starting pitcher. I know a lot of you guys are probably not going to like the way that our draft went, and I understand. We only selected one offensive player. Other than that, it was all pitching. It was Sean Skinner to start, and then we went Fernando Guillen, and then we went Eric Mott, then Lawrence Byler, Guillermo Avalos, Jim Rosenberg, and Michael Schaefer. Like I said, I know a lot of you guys aren't going to like that. It's just the way the draft worked out. Next year, I think we're going to be looking at a lot of offensive players. That's where the focus is going to be. I'm not going to really be focused on starting pitchers. We'll see if it pays off when we look at their ratings, as we are going to win the finale against the Mariners 9-1. 3 hits for Brandon Drury, 3 for Luis Rengifo. Drury, Rengifo, and Shanuel all homered. Patrick Sandoval with a pretty good outing. Matt Moore and Carlos Estevez doing pretty well for themselves. Here are the contestants for the Home Run Derby: Kyle Tucker, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, Nolan Jones for the Colorado Rockies, 25 years old. He's got some power. Eloy Jimenez, Nolan Gorman, and Matt Olson. We're obviously not going to be a part of this, so we can go ahead and advance a day here, as it is now time for the All-Star game. As our lone All-Star is Logan O'Hoppe. He is the backup catcher. The starting catcher is Yainer Diaz. Yainer Diaz. Trying to say his name correctly has been a pain in my you-know-what. But Diaz will start at catcher. We will see Logan O'Hoppe as the game goes on. Corbin Burns is the AL starter, and Aaron Nola is the NL starter. I'm going to go ahead and simulate some of these games, or some of these innings, until we can see Logan O'Hoppe for the first time. So here is a preview of what it looks like here for the All-Star game, as this year it is taking place in Arlington. The Rangers just won the World Series, and now they are hosting the All-Star game, the Home Run Derby, the Futures game, all of it. As Corbin Burns is the starter today. Trey Turner leading off for the National League. We are not going to be pitching, but we are going to be simulating until we see Logan O'Hoppe for the first time. 2 runners on with 2 outs, and that's going to be a fly out to end the first inning. And there's a solo shot by Mookie Betts. Freddie Freeman will ground out, and then Machado will ground out as well to finish the inning. But Mookie Betts puts the NL up 1-0 in this game, as Aaron Nola pitching here for the NL. He gets through the second inning. Corbin Burns still pitching here. I wish that the AI was a little smarter in taking out the starter. I guess it did pretty good for the NL. Corbin Burns is still on the mound here, though. Do I have to take him out myself? I'm pretty sure I do. So therefore, I'm just going to fast forward to the next inning and just hope that it takes Corbin Burns out. If it doesn't, and holy crap, what a crazy inning. What just happened? The AL scores 6 runs. Corbin Burns is still in the game. I don't know why. Shane Bieber now comes in. Okay, now we got it. I was quick managing, so I was still managing. We got it. Everything has been fixed, as Yainer Diaz is up, and he is actually not going to be up. We're going to hop in the game here. We're taking Diaz out. And here is Logan O'Hoppe, the lone all-star here for the Los Angeles Angels, at .267 average, 13 home runs, 40 RBIs, and a .796 OPS so far this season. The stadium looks beautiful. Ryan Thompson on the mound here for the NL. He is a sidearm pitcher, just my luck, as O'Hoppe has had himself a pretty good season. The only all-star here for us. it's, to be predicted because he has been our team MVP so far this season. You could say Mike Trout, but there are plenty of center fielders ahead of him who are way more deserving. As Ohapi looks stupid on the slider. Got to be more patient at the plate here. 0-2 count. Ryan Thompson throws the fastball up and in. Here's the pitch, and Logan Ohapi will go down swinging on the sinker. Couldn't catch up to it. As Royce Lewis just hit a solo shot to extend the AL lead as we are dominating this one 7-1. As Nathan Eovaldi will come in and pitch for the AL. Ryan Thompson back to work here. Kyle Tucker to lead off. He singles. JP Crawford flies out, and Aaron Judge pops up. Rafael Devers ends the inning. Pete Fairbanks coming in now for the AL here. As he gets a 1-2-3 inning. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. set to hit here. It's going to be Salvador Perez instead. He flies out as we're going to get the second at-bat with Logan Ohapi as Camilo Duval is on the mound now for the NL. Here is the pitch to Ohapi, and he's going to hit this one. He hits it deep into left center, and it is going to hit down at the track as Logan Ohapi is going to have himself a one-out double, 105 miles per hour off the bat. Kind of forgot that I wasn't player locking with Ohapi right there. Finally, we get a hit. I was hoping we can't have an entire episode and not get a single hit. Royce Lewis now up for the AL. Might as well get an at-bat with him here. Here is Lewis as he watches the ball at the knees. That sounded very wrong. Camilo Duval still pitching out there for the NL. Here's the pitch to Lewis as he swings and misses at the cutter. I'm not going to deny another opportunity to get better at hitting here. As Royce Lewis swings and misses at the slider. As Lewis is going to hit this slider deep to right field. This one is going to be caught at the wall. Logan Ohapi will tag up and advance to third. 2 away now here in the 7th. Who's up to bat now? It's Gleyber Torres. He's 3 for 3. I'm not going to let Gleyber Torres hit here. I want to get an at-bat with Adolis Garcia. Let me know in the comments below. Do you guys think Adolis Garcia is on steroids? Yes or no? I've been seeing a bunch of stuff about how a lot of people suspect he is. I'm not sure if he is. Maybe he just has very big traps. What am I doing? I'm just blabbing right now. 0-2 count Garcia. Here is the pitch to him. Garcia swings and misses at the slider for strike 3. And that's probably going to wrap up the... Garcia's going to play second base, I guess. When you're winning 7-1, as he just got taken out, I do believe. But when you're winning 7-1, you might as well let him play. As Felix Bautista is on the mound now. Eloy Jimenez to the plate. He's going to ground out. Corey Julks now up in right field. He grounds out. Javi Baez is an all-star. He's going to strike out. As Andres Munoz comes on to try and save it. I guess it wouldn't be considered a save, but come on to try and close this one out. Candelario up to the plate as the AL All-Stars have defeated the NL All-Stars 7-1. Logan Ohapi with a double in this game. I'm glad I was able to get a base hit with our lone All-Star. Hopefully in the future we can have more than one guy make it to this game. I'd like for, 4 or 5 players to make it to the All-Star game. I thought that we were going to see Zach Plesac potentially be an all-star. That didn't work out. As the Guardians are interested in offering us a trade, they are trying to give us David Fry, a third baseman here. 28 years old, B potential. He's been playing this year for him, and he's been decent. 15 home runs, 238 average. Could this be the rookie of the year? If David Fry was 25 and not 28, I think I would be interested in completing this trade. Because of his age, I'm not going to do that. So today is our first time we can go in here and sign draft picks. I'm going to look at Sean Skinner here. I don't really think there's any reason to not offer him. So we're going to go ahead and offer him here. His bonus demand is $4.5 million. It was so low to begin with. I'm just going to go 4.49, and he has decided to sign with us. I'm excited to see what his overall is and what his potential is. Sean Skinner, the first draft pick to sign. What about a guy like Elliott Mott? I'm actually going to hold off because he's not 100% scouted. Lawrence Byler, though, he is. His bonus demand is $635,000, and he has decided to sign with the Angels. What about Fernando Guillen? His bonus demand, $1.5 million. I think we can get him for $1.4 million. He is extremely interested in playing with us. I'm excited to see what Fernando Guillen can do to help out this team in the future. Michael Schaefer, he is 100% scouted. He's looking for $250,000. We are going to give him $250,000. He is signed, as we have pretty much signed everybody for what they have wanted. Jim Rosenberg, Guillermo Avalos, and Eric Mott are the only three we're waiting on. We're going to scout them up a little bit further. Just why not? And it'll also increase their interest. So that's where we stand. Taylor Ward is injured. He broke his shin. He is no longer going to be a tradable candidate now. I know that sucks because he was one of those guys that I was looking to seriously trade, and now we're not going to be able to trade him. He's going to be out for 1 to 2 months. I'm going to go ahead and put him on the 60-day IL. And Hunter Dozier, the guy that probably would have come up to replace him, is injured in this game as well. We're going to keep him active, though. As we won this game 13-1 against the Athletics here. It was 2 hits for Shanuel, 2 for Rendon, 2 for O'Hoppe, 2 for Ward, and 2 for Rengifo. Michael Stefanik and Zach Neto were the only guys that didn't get hits. Rendon, Trout, O'Hoppe, and Ward all homered. Reed Detmers had himself a good start. As Logan O'Hoppe needs a triple for the cycle. How many times we've gotten this highlighted moment here? I'm not going to be doing that. We are beating the A's, and I just forgot to sign draft picks, so that's excellent. We are beating the A's right now, 25-1 in the series. We're looking to make that an even better number. Nolan Shanuel up to the plate now. Should we hop in here? I'm going to say no. We're running on a time crunch. The Athletics are going to win the series finale 3-4. 2 hits for Drury, 2 for Shanuel, and a home run for Brandon Drury. Zach Plesac maybe getting back to his original self, as we're not going to miss our opportunity to sign draft picks this time. Eric Mott is still going to be the second best player according to our board. He's asking for $731,000. That's what we're going to offer to him, and he has declined. Guillermo Avalos now looks like he is pretty good. He's looking for $443,000, as he has decided to sign with the Angels. And Jim Rosenberg here, a guy who, we've talked about has that crazy velocity. He's looking for $331,000. We're going to offer him $331,000. And he has decided he is not going to sign. Here we are in the top of the 8th. The Mariners have defeated us 6-5, as we have now lost 2 games in a row. I know Hunter Dozier is now healthy, and he will start to get opportunities, as we have now lost 3 games in a row. He's not going to be playing third. I don't know why the game does that. Extremely frustrating. Rendon is struggling, but he's not struggling that bad. This game drives me nuts when it decides to do stupid stuff like that. Hunter Dozier will be playing in left field, as we are 46-55. We have now lost 3 games in a row here. Eric Mott, we're going to have to go a little bit above slot value, $893,000. He has decided to sign, as Jim Rosenberg is the last guy we're waiting on. We'll offer him $490,000, and he has decided to sign as well. We have signed all of our prospects that we have drafted, and we are well under the amount of money that we needed, that we were allotted to spend. I know that, one thing that's probably a little bit annoying that you guys have noticed in the series recently, and really in the last few episodes, is we're not playing a whole lot of games. I've only really allotted myself about an hour and a half to record episodes, and if I'm going over that, it's probably just not, I just want to make sure that I can record an episode in an hour and a half, and whatever I can do in that hour and a half is what I'm going to make a video out of. In the future, because we're in year 1 and we found out a lot about this team, in the future, pretty much season 2 and onwards, we're going to slow down the tempo a little bit and really just enjoy the season as it comes along. We're not going to rush through it, because I do want to get more gameplay in the series. We haven't seen that much gameplay. Season 2, you're going to see a lot more gameplay. As far as the rest of this season, it's going to be probably 2 more episodes very similar to this. I can promise you for sure you're going to watch one of these 2 games in September. It's going to be a full game. Probably will do quick counts, but it will be a full game here against the Dodgers, as Shohei Ohtani will be making his return to Anaheim. I'm looking forward to that moment, but we have a little bit more to do in this episode. The Bees have 27 players on their active roster. Who do we send down? The Cubs are interested in offering us a trade, as they are interested in sending us Nick Madrigal, 27 years old. He's a contact guy. Vision looks pretty decent. Defensively, he's pretty solid as well. Looking at his season so far, he's only played in 12 games, but I'm not very interested in that. So I'm going ahead and decline that. Thanks for the offer, though. 6-1 here. Luis Rengifo has an 11-game hitting streak on the line. We do win that game 6-1. The Guardians are sending us another offer here, this time for Carlos Estevez. That's just a ridiculous offer. No way that I would ever do that. Today is the day to sign draft picks. Would you like to start simulating? No, we have signed everybody that we need. Estevez, can he close it out? He does, but I think he blew the save. The Diamondbacks now interested in offering us. I mean, that's just a crazy trade. Why would we take somebody who's 2 years older than the guy we're trying to trade? I'm not understanding why we're getting those offers. What about Andreas Chaparro here for the Arizona Diamondbacks? We can go ahead and look at their top prospects here. I don't even know if he will be on the list as one of our top prospects, but Chaparro here is the 16th best prospect here within the Diamondbacks organization. He is a power specialist. I would say he's 24 years old, see potential, 66 overall. His defense looks average, and that's something that you could definitely build around. His speed isn't terrible. You know, I don't think he would play first base. I don't think he would even play third base for us. He could, but I think where he would fit better would probably be right field. I think he could be a right fielder for us in the future. I'm not sure if that's actually what the case will be, but Matt Moore's a guy that, you know, he is 34 years old. We just drafted a relief arm. Matt Moore, he's not going to get any better for us in the future. And it was when I suggested a trade, it came up that the Diamondbacks would send us over Andreas Chaparro. He is 24 years old. So he's an older prospect, but he is a pretty power hitting, solid prospect. So Matt Moore has been traded to the Diamondbacks. We got some moves to make now among the roster here. Hopefully Chaparro isn't. He's at the single A level, so that's good. I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to play him at... where should we go with him? Should we go AAA here? I think that's probably the best move, is probably go AAA. That's where he's been playing. But I do want to eventually get him playing some outfield for us as well. You know, that is going to be the move before we bring him up to the big league level. I want him to get some, you know, outfield opportunities. So Andreas Chaparro is now a Los Angeles Angel. It'll be a while until we see him as an Angel, but he is an Angel nonetheless. Ben Joyce is very close to being called up, but the day is going to have to wait just a little bit longer. Jose Quijada, who's been doing pretty good at the AAA level, is going to be called back up, as now I think we can continue to simulate. Like I said, that's the first trade. That's one trade. Matt Moore has been traded. Hopefully it pays off. The Twins are now interested in offering us. They are interested in giving us Jose Miranda. Now, I would do this if Miranda was C potential, but because he's a B potential player, I just don't think that it's fair. So I'm going to decline this. So my biggest thing is, because we drafted a bunch of starting pitchers, I'm not looking to trade for starting pitching prospects, if that makes any sense. So when I go ahead and I look at Carlos Estevez and I try to suggest trades here, the two teams that I've marked as interest that would be interested in taking a guy like Estevez are the Yankees and the Cubs. The Yankees are not interested in doing a trade here. The Cubs, on the other hand, they are interested in potentially working on a trade, but they're trying to give us starting pitching prospects that I just really don't want. So Luis Vasquez is here. He's a 24-year-old shortstop prospect, C potential. Maybe we could see what he has to offer here, because at the moment I really haven't. Was it Luis Vasquez? I said C potential, 24 years old. He can play a plethora of positions. We have a lot of shortstop guys though that are in our, farm system at the moment. What about like a second baseman? Do they have a second baseman that they would be willing to potentially send our way? Not really. These guys are not any good, and I'm not gonna be able to trade for James Triantos. So that's not gonna work out. The Yankees, like I said, they're not offering us, but we could easily offer them. Is there anybody here that is like, let's go to second baseman guys here. Jahmai Jones. Did he play with the Orioles for a little bit? He did. So he's a guy, but not really interested in that kind of deal. So I'm just really not finding any trades for Carlos, that Carlos Estevez could be a part of. Unfortunately, we did trade Matt Moore. We were able to find a trade there. Estevez just isn't drawing enough interest. Maybe we can go through here one more time and I can see if we see anything, but if we don't, we're probably just going to have to move on. Well, here is the trade. Carlos Estevez for second base prospect Mac Horvath. He is a C potential. He's 63 overall. Maybe we could bring in like a B potential guy, and I think that would obviously be what we would want to do. But maybe it's just not going to work out that way, as Horvath will be called up to the AA level immediately here. Caleb Ketchup's been dominating, but Chris Safalda has been struggling, so we'll send him down to the single A level. Now we need to figure out who's going to come up and be our new closer. When I look at some of these relievers here, you got Adam Sember's been pitching very well at the AAA level. Do we go ahead with him, or is Ben Joyce ready? I don't think he is. I think he needs a little bit more time. It's so hard because I want to bring him up so bad because I think he is deserving of the opportunity. But then you have Michael Darrell Hicks here, who's dominated at the AAA level. 75 stamina. I want to bring him up, but I just don't know when it is the right time. Therefore, just to be on the safe side, I think I am going to call up Adam Sember to the big league roster. A lot of people probably won't like that. They probably want Ben Joyce. I understand that. A lot of people might not even like the fact that we are making some of these trades, but these are guys we got to get rid of because they're not going to be here much longer. So they're going to be gone in free agency is pretty much what I'm getting at. So we have to make a move. We have to. Andrew Wantz is going to be our new closer. It's going to be what it is. He's been good this year. I think that at 28 years old, he probably could be our closer of the future anyway. So Andrew Wantz will now be the closer. I don't think that our bullpen gets that much worse losing these guys. Sember and Quijada, very low overall guys, but we have a lot of pitching prospects coming up. I think this is where I'm comfortable as far as the team so far. Ben Joyce, like I said, he's not far away at all. He will be making his MLB debut fairly soon. There's two guys, Michael Darrell Hicks, Ben Joyce, and then looking at the lineup here at the AAA level, Kyron Paris will probably be making a debut fairly quickly and fairly soon. Nelson Rada will also probably be called up to the AAA level when that time comes. Either him or Caleb Ketchup. These are two guys that have been playing extremely well. So Oakland has a 4-3 lead. We do win that game 7-4. Jacob Junis here, a starting pitcher, 31 years old for Drury. Not going to happen. The Diamondbacks are going to offer us another one. Merrill Kelly at 35 years old. I don't know why they're even offering those. The Blue Jays interested. Yusei Kikuchi, 32 years old. Why would we ever accept that? I don't understand. As today is the trade deadline. We need to get rid of Brandon Drury today, or we are not going to be getting rid of him at all. When I looked at teams that could potentially be interested in Brandon Drury, I had two teams written down, and that's the Minnesota Twins and the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Twins would be the team that I would preferably want to send them to, as they are interested in potentially getting us Ronnie Enriquez and Aaron Sabato there. That's not the trade that I saw the very first time I ever did this. Maybe I'll have to go and look at what the actual trade was. Not to mention the Twins. When we go ahead and look at the Minnesota Twins lineup here, they need some help. Mark Canha, has been good in the DH slot, I guess. They could definitely, as Jake Fraley was traded to the Twins at some point. Not really sure when that happened, but Willie Castro at second base, just they could definitely use the addition of Brandon Drury. And he's a guy at 31 years old. I'm not going to be bringing him back, especially when we have Luis Rengifo there. So therefore, he is going to be traded here. I just need to figure out what the package is going to look like. And it's probably going to be with the Twins as well. Like I said, we just need to figure out what this trade package is going to look like. So this is what the trade package looked like when I was doing this a few days ago. It is Brandon Drury for Tanner Scoble, who is a C potential 22-year-old prospect here. And my fault, I did not mean to do that. And then it would be Ronnie Enriquez as well. He has some velocity on him as well. I think he's a raw pitching prospect. He has had some time at the big leagues, not that much time though. My one thing is there's another guy that I'm interested in as well, and that's Xavier Curry. He's a guy who has very good hits per 9 and walks per 9. He's played 3 games at the big league level this season. They're interested in making that deal happen. Now, do they have, and this is the Guardians that I'm talking about, do they have anybody like maybe Aaron Bracho here? He's got pretty good contact. Fielding looks pretty solid. He can't play any secondary positions, but the Guardians would be interested in making that trade. Or we could just go straight up and get Xavier Curry here, which I think would probably be the most realistic move. I do like Curry here. I think that he is a pretty good prospect. But the Twins, you have, like I said, you have Ronnie Enriquez, who's 23 years old. The base on balls number per 9 is actually going up, and he's got pretty good velocity on his pitches as well. I actually don't know what I'm wanting to do here. This is also a opportunity here to maybe bring in a B potential prospect, and that would be David Festa. Somebody who's maybe not as exciting as Ronnie Enriquez, but I think he's also somebody who is younger. Actually, he is actually older than Ronnie Enriquez. Therefore, I'm going to stop screwing around. I'm going to take Ronnie Enriquez and Tanner Scoble for Brandon Drury. That is going to be the trade. I don't know if you guys are going to be big fans of this. I don't even know if I'm a big fan of it. Ronnie Enriquez is a guy that I think is an exciting player, though. That's why I have opted to make that trade happen. I'm going to put him at the AAA level. If he's struggling, I'll put him down at the AA level. Haven't really decided what I'm going to do there. And then for Tanner Scoble here, I'm going to go ahead and put him at 22 years old. I'm going to put him at the AA level as well. And we need to replace Brandon Drury. How are we going to do that? Well, is it time to see Kyron Paris? Is that what I'm seeing here? Warner Blakely, 22 years old. Michael Stefanik, obviously he's been there. Kyron Paris was one of our top prospects when it came into this. He's not on the 40-man roster. We do have room for him on the 40-man roster. So we're going to go ahead and move Kyron Paris to the major leagues. It would not be his MLB debut, but he is going to be called up. Therefore, we need to bring somebody up in place of him, and that is going to be Caleb Ketchup, who has been dominating at the AA level. So we're going to go ahead, not to the MLB level. I almost added him to the big leagues. He's going to go to AAA here. And then here at AAA, I think we need to send down a pitcher maybe, or is it going to be a fielder? Willis McGillis. I mean, that's a crazy name. We're going to go ahead and send him down here. Make sure that the pitching rotations are good to go. They should be good here at the AAA level. Ronnie Enriquez will be getting some starts, as he's going to take over for Victor Medeiros here. The trade deadline. We are going to go ahead and look at the transactions here to tell you what has happened. We have acquired Ronnie Enriquez and Tanner Scoble from the Twins for Brandon Drury. We have acquired Matt Horvath from the Orioles for closing pitcher Carlos Estevez. And we have acquired first baseman Andreas Chaparro from the Diamondbacks for Matt Moore. What does our top prospects within the organization look like now? Caden Dana and Barrett Kent are still your number 1 and number 2, but Matt Horvath is number 3. Tanner Scoble is the number 7 ranked prospect. Andreas Chaparro, number 8. And that is it. Michael Darrell Hicks is number 12. He's somebody that is definitely going to be making his MLB debut very soon. Kyron Paris is up at the big league roster. Ben Joyce had a strong month of July with a very good ERA. But Kyron Paris here, He's not going to get an at bat yet. He's going to get an at bat when we player lock game with him, as we have one more little setting here to sign draft picks, as we are trailing 11-9 in the bottom of the ninth, and we have lost that game 11-9. If I view the box score here, I just really don't want Kyron Paris to have gotten Logan O'Hoppe with a home run there. Zach Plesac struggling again. Jose Quijada struggling. We can view our draft picks now. My biggest thing is I just didn't want Kyron Paris to get an at-bat before I had the opportunity to get a look at him. The team looks a lot worse now, and we're only 50-59. You know, we're not a bad team at all, but the team looks worse. It is what it is. We got some draft picks to look at, and how did we fare in the draft? Sean Skinner, 68 overall. He has got an 88 potential. So not necessarily an A potential guy, but his contact looks pretty good, especially against lefties. His vision, discipline, and clutch. His vision and discipline, more specifically, are very good. Fielding, pretty good. And the speed at 78, Sean Skinner looks pretty good to start. Fernando Guillen, B potential guy. He has 84 potential to be exact. He's 22 years old. I'm excited to get Fernando Guillen here on the team. He's going to be a guy who plays very early, probably next year. Eric Mott, 70 overall, 89 potential. Another guy that's probably going to play very early in his career. Lawrence Byler, 91 potential. He's got a 56 overall to start, though. He's going to be a project pitcher, definitely. Guillermo Avalos, 83 potential. Also another one of those project guys. Jim Rosenberg, 90 potential, but 50 overall to start. That's kind of scary. And then Michael Schaefer, it is what it is. The top three guys are the guys that I'm most excited about. Sean Skinner with 88 potential, 68 overall to start. Fernando Guillen, 84 potential, 70 to start. And then Eric Mott, 70 overall, 89 potential. The class is headlined by 21-year-old Sean Skinner. We got a bunch of guys who are going to be MLB ready fairly quickly. And then we got a bunch of 18-year-old, developmental project type of guys. Sean Skinner will probably be a guy you see at the big league level soon, as long as he can develop his contact versus righties a little bit. Fernando Guillen and Eric Mott, you'll probably see sometime in year number 2. But that's going to finish off this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a lot of housekeeping stuff, the draft, the All-Star break, the trade deadline. I hope you guys are happy with what we came away with at the end of this episode. I think we got better as far as our farm system goes and our prospects go. That was something that starting this series we were not very good with, but now it's a lot better. As far as our starting lineup goes, it got worse, but the franchise truly starts now. Only a couple more episodes here in season 1, but once we hit season 2, it's going to be a whole new team and hopefully a whole new outlook. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. See ya.